All right, hello World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter, and we are here in Orlando, Florida at beautiful Disney Springs. Look at this behind us, it's fantastic. And we're here hanging with radio host, convention moderator, most recently the ambassador for CELESTIS Memorial Flights, Marc B Lee. Marc, thanks for hanging with us,
Garrett,
man.
how you been, brother?
Pretty good, man. Again. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
So, you have been busy, man about town. Man about town, I'll tell you, I don't know how you do it.
It's got crazy recently, which is a good thing because I was cutting down on all of my convention duties. I just basically don't do as many conventions as I used to, and then other things just started piling up on top of that.
You see what happens when you make a hole in your schedule, somebody finds it.
Oh my God.
They fill it in.
And it's like, I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's talk about sleep first.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Celestis.
Yes.
Celestis, you are now an official ambassador for Celestis, getting ready to host their official inaugural launch here in the solar system.
Well, actually, it's not their inaugural. They've actually been around for 20 years, but I know what they're getting in.
Well, they're getting to the big launch that everybody's kind of been waiting for here. So let's talk about that a little bit. How did you get involved in Celestis?
It's interesting. This is an interesting story, so please bear with me. Back in 2004 in Hollywood, California, I was the host for a convention. It was actually James Doohan, who plays Scotty on Star Trek. It was his last convention appearance, okay, because he was suffering from a lot of ailments and whatever, and he was in a wheelchair, and that was going to be his last convention appearance. So we had the entire cast of living.
Now we're not talking about Stan Lee last. We're talking about last.
Aha, you're right. That's a good one. Yeah, not Stan Lee. This is it. I'm done. See you next week. No, this is it. We're done.
Stan Lee. That's right. That's the last convention.
That's my father now.
That's
careful.
Right. I know. We saw you do the panel with him last year. That was awesome. Yeah. And yeah, with Stan Lee, that was his last convention after his last convention, but before his next last convention.
That's correct.
That's right. Okay.
And I'm sure he'll be ending soon. We'll probably have a convention in his, God forbid, in his hotel room. I mean, rather in his hospital room.
Yeah, so, but James Doohan, last convention.
Yes, it was his last convention appearance, and we had a lot of celebrities come out, not just from Star Trek, but we had the entire existing Star Trek cast there with Leonard and Bill and everybody else there, and I was the MC for that show. I was the host for that show. So that was his last convention appearance. The next day is when we did a whole ceremony for his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So I stayed over for that. Then about 4 years after that, Jimmy passed. Okay, and I was contacted by this group called Celestis, and I'm like, okay, how you doing? And basically they said that they were going to launch Jimmy Doohan's ashes into space, and I'm like, okay, yes, and we'd like for you to be a speaker there. And I'm like, okay. So we did this in the New Mexico desert. It was actually Branson's Spaceport America. The billionaire Richard Branson he has literally a spaceport in the middle of the New Mexico desert, backs up against White Sands missile range. So they asked me to be a speaker the day before at the ceremony, and then we all got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to catch a bus, and it was about 18 or 19 bus loads.
Wow. That
we took 4-hour drive into the New Mexico desert to this launch site, and basically we launched Jimmy's ashes into space. Now, when I say we launched Jimmy's ashes into space, what we're doing, we're taking a portion of
the ashes,
someone's cremated remains, and we're launching them basically into orbit. Okay, let's say that first. There are 4 launch programs that we have. What? I can't believe she did that. That's great.
Oh yeah,
I think she missed that. One is the Earth orbit.
Now she's going to want to raise.
That's
goes.
incredible. She's got it written down.
Ready,
she's actually reminding me, because I'm glad you did that. 'Cause I'm new with the organization, so I can't keep all this, you know, in my head. Although I did have this long meeting with our CEO over the telephone earlier this morning. He's in Houston, and to go over all of this, I should have pulled this up with my phone when I had time, but I didn't. But there's 4. There's the Earth orbit. There's the lunar, the deep space. There's one you're missing. There's the Earth's Earthrise. So Earthrise comes first. Earth orbit. Then we have the lunar mission, then we have the deep space mission.
Wow.
In 2018, we will be launching not only more of Jimmy Doohan's ashes into space, but also with him will be Major Roddenberry, and Gene Roddenberry, the great bird of the galaxy himself, who created Star Trek as well as some other
Now, which
TV
program
shows.
are they going on?
They are going on the last one, and that mission is called the Voyager mission, but it's actually surnamed the Enterprise Flight.
Okay.
We are launching their ashes into deep space, into a tight, infinitesimal orbit around the sun.
So, for all eternity, the
Roddenberries and James Doohan
around the sun.
will be orbiting the sun.
So finally, there's a planet Roddenberry. It's really small, really small, like smaller than Mercury, but it's there, and that's fantastic. It really is. Now, people know that a lot of these things often exist for the famous, for the rich, but this is something we've been watching online. This is something that, as it matures and goes on, actually people can do.
No one else does this. This has been around for 20 years. Celestis is the first and only organization that will launch ashes into wherever, whether in orbit, whether we shoot into orbit for a return, or whether we shoot into deep space.
But this is something the average person can do if they're so inclined.
And that's the interesting thing. Thank you for asking. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
You don't have to be Gene Roddenberry.
You don't have to be a celebrity. In fact, on that flight with Gene and Majel and oh, actually, I stand corrected. The first quarter of 2018, we took, well, we have in possession DNA of Sir Arthur C. Clarke, who wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey. He was when he was alive, we had discussed this with him and asked him if this was an option that he was interested in, and he obviously said absolutely. So he allowed us to take some of his hair, and he asked us not to take too much of it because there's not much left. We will be so that is considered DNA.
We feel his pain.
We feel. That's why I wear a hat. No,
there you go.
Not only can he do that, a celebrity, we can launch not just your ashes. So, as morbid as it may sound, you don't have to be dead in order to have your spirit or a portion of you, a part of you, launch into space. We can actually take a part of your DNA. We can cut hair. We can swab, we can, I don't know, maybe
20 million years from now, even if I never went to space,
right,
I can send some of my DNA in space.
Absolutely.
So we're going to make all those little green bastards wonder, how did he get here?
Now here are your options. Other than the 4 that I mentioned, the 2 biggest ones, which are the best ones that I think people should do, we can actually launch your DNA or your ashes onto the moon.
Wow.
We kid you not. We are certified by the U.S. government, guys. We are certified by NASA. We are not kidding with what we say.
Wow.
We can launch your DNA and or your ashes onto the surface of the moon, or we can put you into a perpetual orbit around the sun or further out into deep space. Who knows where it goes then? I guess we got to wait until Space Ghost finds it. I like Space Ghost, sorry.
Remember that, guys? All right, look, we remember that. Space Ghost. See, we remember that.
Classic 60s cartoon.
Steven doesn't know what we're talking about, but he's
classic,
like, you know.
60s cartoon rock, dude.
The original sci-fi pop culture talk show host. Space Ghost.
Space Ghost.
Okay? That's right. Yes. Space Ghost coast to coast.
So we can take your DNA and we can take your ashes if you pass, and not just yours. It's any loved member that you, family member you may have.
Okay.
Who you want to honor them by literally launching them in the face. Now imagine this. You could say, hey mom, we love you to death. Hey dad, we really love you to death. And I know it's always been your joy to go to space. Well, we're going to do that for you.
Wow.
We've done that for astronauts. Gordon Cooper, who actually went up in the same capsule as Jimmy Doohan, was launched into space.
Wow.
So the grandiose part of all of this is going to be in 2018. And I'd like to let people know that in 2018, I'm gonna start probably after New Year's or maybe in February to put together a nice convention for that launch.
That'll be fantastic.
And try to get a lot of the Trek.
It is. It's amazing because our community's grown a lot since you and I were young. We used to be subculture.
Yes.
Now we
Star Trek used to be a subculture.
It's a Star Trek and all of the things that all these kids think are pop culture today.
Right.
They used to stuff us into lockers for.
That's right. Used to point their fingers and laugh at us because of what we're wearing right now.
That's right. And and so 2018, the launch is from the Space Coast. Ish. No? Or are you going to be out west doing that?
Yes. I'm not allowed to talk about a lot.
Okay.
Okay. But the fact that, I mean, it's sorry, Charles, you gotta tell him something. Okay, I'm talking, oops, I'm losing my mic.
All right,
we're gonna
get you hooked up over here.
Charles, I know you're watching this, or you will be watching this, and I have to say something. So I'm going to put it to this. We are 98% that launch will be from the Space Coast. And the reason that I am releasing this information is because I have to know the information
before you can do it.
Very soon. Yeah. It has to be solidified very soon. I know 98% it'll probably be from...
It's a lot of work that goes into launching a rocket.
Yeah, guys. It's not 98% probability, it's 98% certainty that it will be from the Space Coast. So that's where I want to put the convention. And I do want to do maybe a 2-day event, depending on what day the launch is, and hopefully we can
what a great way to celebrate these icons in their life.
Gene Roddenberry at that, the guy that started the, all of us on this.
That's right. That's right. Well, fantastic, man. That is awesome. So, in addition to Celestis, Dragon Con, we saw you're out there in the parade. I mean, you're all over. Still a very busy person.
Too busy.
So,
too busy.
How did you get into this life, this world?
I'm glad you asked, because a lot of people ask me this all the time. The reason that I am on stage moderating a lot of these shows, and there are always people out there who can do a better job than me. But the reason that
But we don't want you to, because we like him, and we like me, and we like doing what we do. So.
Well, and the reason is the way I started, and that is hook yourself up with a convention committee. Okay, volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. The more you're recognized, the more apt those organizers will ask you to do something over and above what you have been doing previously, which is what happened to me, is being on a convention committee in Baltimore, Maryland, with the ClipperCon, October Trek, the Shore Leave people, and especially the Farpoint people up in Baltimore. Basically, start out doing the grunt work, like in any office that you work for. You're going to start off as being the mailroom boy or something to that effect. And then eventually somebody said, hey, Mark, why don't you go and introduce George Takei on stage? And I'm like, okay. So it wasn't even George at that convention that was introduced. That was another convention after the fact. That's another story.
It's just amazing how it just sort of grows.
Yeah, you get on a convention committee and you work your way on up.
You mentioned Dragon Con, and that what a great example of that, because rather than
You're not going to stop me on this one once we get started in this sucker.
Rather than just a convention in a convention center kind of thing, Dragon Con sort of is 5 or 6 hotels. I mean, it's like 5 hotels. It literally is 5 mini conventions, all gaggled to one location in Atlanta, Georgia.
Dragon Con, as I tell everyone, is Mecca. It is literally ground zero for cosplayers. It is ground zeros for the flavor of conventions that people missed back in the day. And yes, it is over 5 hotels. They have a parade, which is a parade of cosplayers, including vehicles and all kinds of things. Because if you're
going to be out celebrating your favorite things, you need a parade.
Absolutely. And in fact, it is Atlanta's biggest parade. The Dragon Con parade is Atlanta's biggest parade out of the entire year. It is Dragon Con. Dragon Con is literally, no pun intended, a beast in itself. I can talk about Dragon Con until I get...
He did that so on purpose.
I did.
He knows he's on the internet. He knows what you guys are going to do. When we grew up, these were small things. First Star Trek conventions were tiny little things, 50, 75, 150 people. Today, we're talking about 100,000 of your closest friends. It's like a 100,000 person family reunion.
It's interesting because back in our time, we were the geeks and nerds, and the people that were not the geeks and nerds were called the mundanes. Now, the mundanes are going to all of our movies, all of our Marvel, all of our DC, all of our Harry Potter, all of our Lord of the Rings movies, okay, where we geeks are sitting there going, told you.
That's right. We told you this was happening.
Told you.
The whole time.
Get in with us. You'll like it.
That's right. That's right.
These are the movies that are making the money.
That's right.
For Hollywood. Now it's cool to be a geek and a nerd. Because they know what that means. It means, oh, you're into DC. Oh, you're into Marvel. Oh, you're into Guardians. Oh, you're into this. To be a geek and a nerd.
We have to
be cool.
But it's great. They want to learn about what it's like to be us.
It's funny you said that too, because that Dragon Con, and I implore you guys to go on the Dragon Con website and just look around. Just go pictures. In fact, just Google Dragon Con and click on images and just look. Dragon Con is family. It has that heart. It has the same amount of crowds as San Diego has, or getting to that point. But yet it's like, inviting people over to Thanksgiving dinner.
Still remember where that core is.
You know, where San Diego Comic Con is, you're eating in a restaurant. Okay, Dragon Con, you're eating in, you know, one of your relatives' homes.
Nice.
You know,
I love that. That's what we love about the convention circuit is as we tour around. When you go to a convention, these people you're meeting, the thing you have in common the most is what you love.
Yes.
And that connection is so strong that we stay in touch with them online. I know you came out and visited us last night on the Kitchen Killers performance.
Oh my God, that was incredible.
The connections you make with these conventions, isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
The talent pool that's out there, so amazing to see. And we met you when we first did our first Orlando MegaCon.
Right.
And just those connections are so strong.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing to see, and you've been a part of that since as it has grown.
And Hollywood has known that.
Now, Celestis is happening. You don't have a date yet for that.
We don't have a date for 2018. You really have to go to the Celestis website.
We're going to drop those links down below in our descriptions, guys. So
and if you're not on my Facebook page, you can go ahead and get a hold of me, because I will once I get this convention.
We're going to drop links for you down below. People can stalk you and get you know, they just,
I get that.
You know how that goes. You know how that is. We've been stalking him for a year. See what happens? You stalk him long enough, he comes and sits down with you, he talks to you. So, what's your next big appearance?
My next con appearance, I just got hired to do, let's see, I'm hosting a New Year's Eve show with Dawn Robinson, who is as the featured singer. She's from In Vogue.
Wow.
In Vogue. That's a New Year's Eve. I just got hired to do that show, and I also just got hired to host a UFO and paranormal convention in Fort Myers. That is in February, and they also, the same group, asked me to host a convention in Fort Myers. I don't know what it's called, Space Ghosts or something like that. Oh,
that's the shut up card.
That's okay. I like how she works that way. So that, and I think Dragon Con will be coming up.
Are you still doing the radio show?
Oh, I do an online radio class right now, but believe it or not, I design homes for a living. No, not just homes. I design buildings.
You just were awarded the architectural contract
for a small project. Small project in Dubai, hopefully.
Guy, what are you going to do? You know, little town with all the big buildings.
They want some residential units for their people. So.
We're going to drop links from Marc B Lee down below in the description, so you guys can find him online, like his stuff, find Celestis online, Celestis Memorial Spaceflights. We're going to put the .coms down below for you. We have been hanging with moderator, radio host, ambassador for Celestis Memorial Spaceflights, Marc B Lee. As we wrap it up, let's say thank you to our partners and our friends over at Something Unity Magazine, Space Coast Comics, Wordfire Press, Famous Faces and Funnies, Off the Chain Radio with Yvonne Mason, our great friend Heather Reed with Asylum Convention and Entertainment Services, as well as our brand new partners over at the Brevard Renaissance Fair.
Oh my God.
5 days of creative amazement.
Wow.
Just fantastic. This year they are kind of toying all around the convention is like one big theme. This year they're reenacting the Robin Hood adventures.
Oh my God.
So fantastic.
That's awesome.
It is amazing. We can't wait to be out there. I'm GW Pomichter again. We've been hanging with Marc B Lee. Remember, folks, log on, tune in, see who we're hanging with next. See you guys later, Marc.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.
So